up to me. Gabe's not here. Gabe's not here.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cross Politic. Gabe's out of town doing stuff with his family. He just left us at the last minute, too. Is that good? That looks really good.
Man, Haley's Lattes, if you're not in the studio, you don't know.
That's true. So we have Keith Darrow in for Gabe.
Can you try to act like Gabe?
No, please. No, don't you even.
I got that kind of juice.
No. You might not know this, but life is full of all kinds of choices. You can go left, you can go right, you can go up, you can go down, you can be Democrat, you can be Republican, and you can be a Christian intergalacticus like I am.
Yeah, you are.
Today is no different. You can either choose this set of stories over here.
That one?
This set. Or you can choose about 10 minutes of Sam Harris. So, I'm going to let you guys choose which way we're going to go today. And if anybody wants to stone you who's listening or watching, it won't be on me. I gave the choice. You choose life or death or death and death. It's up to you. But before that, I'll let you guys have some time to decide while Pastor Toby reads our ad.
Our upcoming Fight Laugh Feast conference is less than 2 months away from happening in Knoxville, Tennessee, October 6th through the 8th. Lies, propaganda, storytelling, and the serrated edge.
Swing.
I love it. Don't miss Beer and Psalms on the first night. Our amazing lineup of speakers, which includes George Gilder, Jared Longshore, Pastor Wilson, Dr. Ben Merkel. I'm going to be there. Chocolate Knox is going to be doing a roundtable discussion with Becca Merkel and Nancy Wilson and their husbands.
That's great.
On the power of stories in shaping culture. And we just announced a Business Makers pre-conference with Andrew Crappyshutz from Red Balloon and David Reese, CEO of Armored Republic. Growing businesses in a woke culture. Also, don't miss our awesome vendors, meeting new friends, and stuff for the kids, too. Also, did you know you can save money by signing up for a club membership? Go to fightlaughfeast.com, sign up for a club membership, get $100 off with that club membership, and we can't wait to fellowship, sing psalms, and celebrate God's goodness in Knoxville, October 6th through the 8th.
Okay, so before you guys choose too quickly, because I see you jumping at it, Keith. That's like you give me the ammo. I want to know what's...
I don't have a poker face, yeah.
Yeah, okay, but before...
Why would I pick paper over bullets?
Sometimes the pen is mightier than the sword. I'm just saying. Before we do that, I want to say to our audience, first of all, if you are a Fight Laugh Feast Club member, thank you guys so much. It's been a blessing. We've done so much because of what you have done to help us grow. We're on the way to taking out CNN. Gabe would be so, which is not really be hard right now. Right? They're firing other people. And Gabe would be so proud of me. I'm promoting.
Yeah, there you go.
But I just want to say, people are really like, I would love to help. I just can't do it right now. Finances, inflation, gas prices. I totally understand all of that. I just want you to know the share button.
It's free.
It's just I don't know how much muscle you got in that thumb, but it ain't a whole lot to move over there to the share button on your social media. So just hit it with your thumb, put it out there, share with your friends. And I will tell you, word of mouth, people really do listen when you say, hey, you got to check out this podcast.
That's true.
All right. So without any further ado, the story's over here, or 10 minutes of Sam Harris.
I'm going Sam Harris.
Sam Harris?
Keith's not... we were talking about the Sam Harris story before, just before we started, and I'm like, I'm curious. I want to hear you. I want to hear you talk about Sam Harris, actually.
And I just find Sam Harris endearing. Like, there's something likable about Sam Harris.
What?
I just think he's likable. Did you listen to William Lane Craig when he debated him like a decade ago? No. And like Craig's just like dee, and Harris is kind of up there, just kind of presents his position. You want to go hang out with Sam Harris, not William Lane Craig. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm getting at.
Doggone it. So the Minneapolis stories it is. Let's talk about these stories. All right. No, I got to live. You know what?
You see what he did to us.
I won't do it.
What he did to us.
I won't. That's what I wanted to do. All right. So Sam Harris is an atheist who I always said there was a Mount Rushmore of atheism. Sam Harris is on that Mount Rushmore. I think you got Richard Dawkins. You had
Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah, easily Christopher Hitchens. Richard Dawkins. Sam Harris was who's the fourth person?
On the atheist Rushmore.
Yeah. Who would you put?
I don't know.
I'd put a Hume up there. David Hume would have to be up there.
Yeah.
In our era, in our time.
Yeah.
In our time, well, yeah, like because a lot of Western atheism is kind of downstream from Hume's skepticism.
Sure, so. I don't doubt that. Yeah. All right. So Sam Harris is on the atheism Mount Rushmore. His face is up there. But he's been kind of silent, like not really popular lately, but he started trending this morning. And so it was like,
Yeah, he did.
Well, if Sam Harris is trending, it was funny because our producers in the studio, they're in their 20s. They're like, who's Sam Harris? And I was like, praise God. Man, look at God.
So you guys, really? You didn't know who Sam Harris was?
No, they didn't.
I wasn't in the room.
Did you not know? Haley didn't know. Haley, did you know who Sam Harris was? No, she did not know.
I made a reference the other day. Haley didn't know, so I think that
She's 20. But you know what? Also, we have an NSA student that is also, well, he's not an intern, he's an employee now. He didn't know who Sam Harris really was. So I'm not, but I think it's a good thing. You talk about God being good. The fact that
it's like when you don't remember that like Thursday is named after one of the Greek or the Norse gods, Thor.
Wait, it is?
Yeah.
Man, these young people here.
I'm just saying, look at the gospel. It's just doing so good.
You had a sermon actually, maybe 3 weeks ago, where you're going through the calendar. Gave a rundown of the days.
Okay, I am like, this is why I let Gabe do this, because I am like, ooh, squirrel. Whenever I hear something, so if I leave the show, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, a sermon! I forgot. I want to talk about Toby's sermon that he had at Grace Agenda because I heard it was amazing." But we're not gonna do it because we're gonna talk about Sam Harris because I will go for the squirrel thing real quick. So he did an interview on a show. What was it?
Triggeronomy.
And I don't know that show. I do know
I've never heard of it either, but it's like trigonometry, only trigger.
Yeah, so they have a lot of discussions that may trigger you.
Might trigger you.
That's why I was feeling
trigger warning.
They had really good interviews with Tom Holland, the guy who wrote Dominion. Really, really good interviews. So those are actually
and they're Brits.
Yeah, they're Brits. Yeah, and the one guy looks just so British.
Right.
They
both look pretty British.
Even he's an Indian, he still looks British.
Yeah, they do.
But I saw one of them on Joe Rogan's show. That makes more sense. So,
okay.
Well, what was really interesting? So the clip made the way out that Sam Harris basically said something about Hunter Biden's laptop, right? And so this is the context, and he was just like, I don't care what happens with Hunter Biden's laptop. We had to do something to stop Trump. So I went back to watch the whole hour and a half long interview.
Oh man!
So pray for me. So I brought you guys.
Was he endearing, like Keith said? We were like, I want to hang out with this guy.
To be very honest, I've always felt like Sam Harris was the most interesting person in the atheist Mount Rushmore to have a conversation with.
All right.
And I think it's because he's just doesn't really have a personality. And so, to be very honest, I think that's what it is. But so the beginning of this clip is just them talking about the importance of making sure that Trump wasn't elected. And he's just to preface this out, to give us a little context for you. He was saying that we saw what happened when Trump ran against Hillary Clinton. We saw the fact that Hillary Clinton was doing really good in the election. It seemed she was polling well. But then we saw this email thing come up and this hard drive stuff come up. And then the FBI said, we're going to open up an investigation.
Right.
And as soon as they opened up this investigation, we saw Hillary Clinton go down.
Right.
And so we know the way we got Trump ultimately was because the FBI opened up this investigation over Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And if we did that again,
right,
we would get
Biden would lose
4 more years of Trump.
Right.
And this Trump's is an asteroid. An existential threat.
A meteor.
Yeah. And at that point, and this is where you're entering the conversation with Sam Harris in that context.
We're going to open up this laptop from hell, and the news cycle for who knows how long is going to be just conceivably just a nuclear bomb of an October surprise. And we're going to get 4 more years of Trump if we actually give this a fair hearing.
But you can't do that, Sam, surely. You've got to realise that you've got to be fair. And the thing that I want to
We're all equal before the law.
Yeah. And
aren't we?
And the other
This isn't the law, but
I know it's not the law. But if you accept my supposition that this is the public square, then it is the law. It is. If it is the public square, then it is law. Now, you're arguing it's not the public square, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. Yeah, Look, why don't we move on? Because I think we've done enough.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
he's sucked up a lot of it.
He's got a habit of doing that.
Yeah, no, but I'll just say, just finally, I do, again, it's like a coin toss for me, the Hunter Biden laptop thing, because I do understand how corrosive it is for an institution like the New York Times to show obvious bias and inconsistency and dishonesty in how it's like they couldn't even frame it honestly. It's not like the way I would frame it is listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden, but even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China. It is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University.
Hit pause.
Right? Trump University.
So I'm sorry. This is okay. I had Neil make this sound effect for us. Because I don't want to beat a dead horse.
What was that?
That was beating a dead horse.
Beating a dead horse. And the truth is that I might end up beating the dead horse a lot in this because I just want to point out some obvious things. We were talking about an atheist.
Yeah.
Who has made his career to obliterate objective standards of truth and morality.
Right.
And yet he's making this comparison between.
Well, that's not what he would say.
Okay.
He actually, I think he's a rationalist.
Yeah, he's a rationalist, and
he's an atheistic rationalist. Now,
how do you get rationalism in atheism?
It's incoherent. It's absolutely incoherent. But in his head, in his mind, the world that he has fashioned for himself, is a world with objective truth, apart from God,
and even objective morality.
Yeah.
So he'd very much argue. So, like, if you want a healthy plant, you got to feed it 3 times a day, or whatever it is. I've never fed a plant.
It's
obviously,
completely incoherent.
Yes,
but it is just to be fair to Mr. Harris. Like, he actually does believe in objectivity.
Yeah.
So does every atheist.
But including an objective moral order that we can calculate human flourishing. So if you want your kid to grow healthy, he's got to have his milk, he's got to have his vegetables, and so we look at society, and that's how we determine the moral thing. Is that what gives something life?
I remember listening to a TED talk with him talking about this, and he's like, when people ask me, "Well, how do I get morality out of being atheism?" And you know his answer was, "I just do."
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. He's functionally the god of his own system.
But if we had that argument and it's like, well, where do you find God in the universe? Where do you find truth? And I said, I just do. He wouldn't buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he makes it conditional. If we want healthy people, here's what our morality ought to be. So he kind of fudges by building in a conditional to the aspect of morality. But
why do we even want healthy people? What is healthy?
Well, he would still be able to understand what a healthy bone is. A broken bone, a healthy bone.
I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I'm just saying he doesn't have any foundational for that. He doesn't have any foundation for it.
Not any transcendent foundation.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have beauties and things that he loves and that he doesn't want to see go away. That's why he's having this conversation. He loves something. Mm-hmm. Something has been taken away, and he's like, listen, we have to go save it. And I'm saying, right, that makes sense to me.
Right.
I just don't know how you compute for that, even with your rationalistic understanding.
Well, his whole argument it's interesting on a couple of levels because he's arguing that there's basically a higher good, basically, which is again really ironic for an atheist to be arguing. He's saying basically you compare the corruption of Hunter and the Biden family, even if all the rumors are true, and the corruption of Trump, e.g. Trump University, and he's saying it doesn't even compare.
Yeah.
Firefly to the sun, which is an interesting thing for an atheist to do.
Well, I still want the measurement. What's an inch?
I know.
What's a foot?
But he's
what's the comparison?
But his argument is basically it was going to be so much more damaging to the American system that it justified basically the corruption and collusion of American media deciding not to report on the laptop, deciding not to report on that, canceling him from Twitter, all the rest of it. He goes on to justify all that and basically say, look, it was a leftist conspiracy and it was warranted.
Don't you need if you're going to do a scientific experiment, the evidence to make that statement. So how does he know that the information that we never looked at is far more corrosive than Trump if we never looked
far
at
less,
it?
yeah, far less
corrosive. Yeah.
I think that's a good question for him.
Yeah, because he's just begging the
my
question.
point is-
It's like an a priori commitment that there's no way that Hunter and the Bidens cannot be as corrupt.
His description of Trump, I don't know if it's in this clip or not, but in the interview, he says, like basically every screw is loose in Trump. Like that's his description of Trump. He's like every single screw that you could possibly have in a human being, it's loose or missing. Like that's actually what he says, and that's his justification. Like that's his evidence, Knox.
For him to be an atheist who's so empirical, he doesn't act very empirically. Is that's a word? I'll let him continue.
As a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view. Right now, that doesn't answer the people who say it's so completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely. Right. But I think it was warranted.
See, there you go.
And again,
Warranted.
it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
that particular piece
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
No. The kids in the basement.
Guys.
I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power
to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open.
He's going to dance around it.
It's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. If it's like if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth. And we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy? Like some of that conversation would be in public, some of it would be in private. We have a massive problem. We have an existential threat, right? Politically speaking, I consider Trump an existential threat to our democracy, right? Now, he's not going to destroy the world, very likely.
He destroyed democracy in the process of protecting democracy.
No, but that doesn't destroy it. No.
Time out. Hit pause real quick.
That's a good point. Trigger onto me.
I think everybody there is atheist, right? I think they're all. Why? So he doesn't think that. So you bring in Twitter, you bring in the New York Times, you bring in all the social media platforms. They come together and say, so that we don't get Trump, let's all conspire together to remove him from a platform.
Save the planet from this asteroid.
Because it is an absolute emergency to save the planet from the asteroid. Right. Does that not make you afraid that at any point they can consider anything
an existential threat?
Absolutely. Well, and even right afterwards, he was like, I'm not saying he would actually destroy the world. And we were like, well, then you're saying he's not an asteroid.
Yeah. And even
like just going to land on Washington D.C. is going.
Yeah, and he even gets into. Well, I'm not encouraging stuffing the ballot box.
Let's play that. Let's play that. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting. At no point was I suggesting we should stuff ballots or actually break the machinery of democracy. But political opinion is already being just completely inundated with misinformation, biased takes, half truths, and outright lies, right? Like or just the amplification of bad or misleading information based on.
But if I think it's an asteroid,
right,
I'm going to stuff some ballots.
Why not stuff the ballots?
Yeah.
Why not have misinformation?
And it's also like kind of the reverence for democracy. You know what I mean? As if there's some sort of purity behind this thing that is sacrosanct. That like even if an asteroid is going to come and destroy the Earth, we're not gonna tinker with democracy.
Right. Yeah.
Let it go.
There's this asteroid coming. I got to do whatever.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about democracy.
Who gets to define what's an asteroid?
Right. Yeah. Pastor Doug likes to say that whenever someone is in the process of denying the existence or the sovereignty of God, they are always simultaneously hoping there's going to be a job opening. And I think in the early stages, everybody claims it's democracy and consensus and science, a bunch of stuff that you only get from God.
Right.
And it's like these two kids, young men, Triggeronomy hosts. They're still in those early stages. They're like the sacredness of democracy. And Harris is like, he's way past this. And he's like, guys,
the film, yeah.
These guys, no, the point was that we're going to run it.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually what he's saying. Like, basically, I mean, we don't have to destroy the thing. But basically, if you don't have a sovereign God, then someone's running for his position. Like, somebody's trying out for his job. Someone this is why you can't have atheism and not end up with totalitarian dictatorships. You just can't. It's absolutely impossible to do. And he's in the early stages of that, and his underwear showing. And that's why he's trending on Twitter.
And this is why education is so important.
Right. Yeah.
See what I did there?
Oh, Classical Conversation supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview and fellowship with other families. We provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries, and train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, visit the website at classicalconversations.com. Again, that's classicalconversations.com.
I like that the horse is alive.
Is the horse dead?
Yeah.
He's
dying.
dying.
It is in the process of not existing anymore in this realm.
You're going to keep
it's
beating
just,
it.
And so, speaking of which, back to more Mount Rushmore of atheism, Christopher Harris.
This is we call him Sam Harris.
Sam Harris.
Him too.
Sam Hitchens.
They're all blurred together. If you see the image of Mount Rushmore, it's all their
Richard Harris. Sam Dawkins.
Political opinion is already being just completely inundated with misinformation, biased takes, half truths, and outright lies, right? Like, or just the amplification of bad or misleading information based on the algorithm, right? So it's already just an abattoir of opinion, right? And now the question is, what can you do with your own biases and your own to get the outcome you think is actually better, not just for yourself personally, but for the world, right?
Okay, yeah, exactly.
I'm completely unconflicted.
That's him. He's playing God.
Right, but what's to stop me from doing the same thing?
Right, nothing.
Well, who gave him the reins to play God? He's like, oh yeah, well Sam, since you're on Mount Rushmore, you get to hold the button.
Right?
No, keep going.
Conflicted in the claim that a first Trump term was bad and a second Trump term would be bad, and it literally doesn't matter what else was on the menu. Like literally, pick a random American better than Trump in the Oval Office. Like the likelihood that you're going to get someone who's worse.
Stop. Louis Farrakhan. Better than Trump. Random. I mean, I'm just thinking about anybody else. You guys got anybody you want to think about? I mean, anybody. If we're going for it, I think Doug Wilson do great personally.
Yeah, right.
But he would please give me Trump.
Maybe.
Keep going.
Trump. Given what I consider is bad about Trump, it's on the order of 1 in a million, right? Like you're not going to get worse than Trump if you pick at random. And Hillary Clinton, for all of her flaws, was not worse than Trump. Joe Biden, we could have known Joe Biden was going to just be comatose in office, not worse than Trump, right? Kamala Harris, not worse. Like it's all, and again, it's not just a marginal call. It's just these are people who are normal politicians who are so much more constrained by predictable machinery, right? There's such less of an opportunity there to destroy institutions that we have to rely on, right? With any of those people in charge, including a random person in charge, a random person who's going to be terrified at the responsibility of the office and default to expert opinion, across the board.
Didn't you say that somewhere in here he's particularly worried about woke stuff?
So yes, and that's what I want to get to, because he's very, very concerned about Trump destroying the institutions that we have to rely on.
Right.
And because of that asteroid that will destroy the institutions that we have to rely on, we have to get rid of Trump.
Right.
But if you have Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris,
Comatose.
Comatose Joe Biden is better than an active Trump. That's pretty great.
What is inside of them more than destruction of institutions? That's all that critical race theory is destruction of institutions in any way. And so he goes on to say, well, why is it that almost all atheists that were part of that atheist movement hate the woke stuff? Because it destroyed them. It just destroyed in every way their movement.
Right. Why?
Because they didn't have an immune system against the accusations that came against them. So if I thought that Christopher Hitchens or Christopher Harris,
Richard Hitchens,
was hitting on me, and that they were emotionally raping me, I could make that claim, and they didn't have a defense.
There were some real like Me Too sexual.
Yeah, there's a guy that asked a girl out in an elevator at one of these conferences, and she blogged about it. Then Hitchens kind of ran with it, kind of poked fun of it and all this sort of stuff. And next thing you know, it just kind of snowballed into kind of almost like an early Me Too.
So you're saying, and they're appealing to, I felt like I was being mistreated, like the sexual abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. That took them, as well as like the
I felt like
social justice
you were being
stuff.
White supremacist.
Why are the Mount Rushmore full of white men?
Yeah, right. Because
White atheists.
This goes back to our point earlier when we're it's like, they are functioning on like rationalism still exists.
Right.
They chopped off the tree, off the trunk, the roots of God, of Christ, of a creator.
Yeah.
Where rationality comes from. And then they're still like, as the tree is going down, they're sitting there like, but look, we're in a tree.
Right.
And they've got a bunch of people around them saying, actually, you chop down the tree, your postulates, your arguments, your reason doesn't matter anymore.
Yes, but this is a branch.
Yeah, right. But it's like all we're doing is we're just actually emoting at each other. Like you emote in complete sentences.
Right.
I emote, with. On Twitter, I emote in my YouTube comments. It's that kind of thing, and which actually that makes sense. That makes sense. They want a world in which they are at the top of their game as rationalists without the foundation of rational thought.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're still basically operating under terms of the Enlightenment.
Right.
So the Enlightenment throws off God and thrones reason.
Right.
So reason becomes a de facto God. Postmodernism comes along and just says there's no transcendent reason.
Yeah.
You just have
Where'd
these
you get
cultural
that
narratives.
from? Where'd you get that from? You said there's no God.
So remember, he wants to save institutions.
Right.
That's why the asteroid has to go. Got to blow it up.
Right.
And then he misses the huge planet that's on the way.
Yeah.
That's going to collide with us in the wokeism. So they ask him, so why is it that you hate wokeism?
Right.
Why do you feel revulsion, a very, very strong emotion about this ideology?
Well, because it's
Pregnant pause.
one, it is destroying institutions that I actually care about.
Oh.
Right? It's like, white supremacy
Who cares what you think?
and far right lunacy is not affecting institutions that matter. By
Except
my
for Trump.
lights, right?
Except for Trump.
You could argue it affected the White House and the U.S. government to some degree at the margins. I mean, I think allegations of Trump's racism or his alignment with the far right and white supremacy, I think that's been massively exaggerated by the left. And most of the claims to his race, I actually have no doubt that he's actually racist. But most of the public claims to his racism, I think, are obviously false and,
hit pause.
inconsistent.
So then what's the asteroid?
Right. You're like, you just rehabilitated Trump.
Right. I mean, the woke social justice woke. I like that.
Swoke.
Yeah. The woke social justice movement has impregnated the left. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And the child they're birthing is all the policies that we just passed with these $1 trillion bills.
Right.
We have diversity, inclusion, equity in every aspect of our laws right now. It's been shot in the veins of American society, and he was afraid of Trump?
Right, because Biden got elected and is comatose.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
And everybody
right.
around him. Everybody around him
That's
is,
exactly
is
right.
sneaky
Right.
and wokeness.
Right.
So.
All right, Pastor, you got some time to hang around. We're going to talk about this a little more because this is
Just a few minutes,
Okay,
yeah.
just a few minutes because this
Yeah.
is not over. There's a lot more to this, but I just want to bring up one point. Whenever we decide to clean with poopy water, this is what we get. We get a worse infection. Like Trump was bad. I don't even want to say praise Trump. He's the most Christian American president we've ever had before. There's no doubt about it. But if you don't have a biblical objectivity, you don't know which one is worse. That's why sometimes it's better to be under the judgment of God. Like I think that might have been a judgment from God that preserves his people. Right now, it's like, okay, I'm wiping the floor with y'all. Right. So, all right, more of this backstage in the portal. And if you're a club member,
for club members,
you get to enjoy that portal.
Because we're really thankful for you.
So if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. You guys regret not going through these stack of stories yet?
Not at all.
Not really.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
This is where Dave and I plan this year's company holidays.
Let's go through the list.
Easter,
Too religious.
St. Patrick's Day?
Too white.
Mother's Day.
Way too cisgendered.
All of your usual holidays have been canceled this year.
But we still have Karl Marx's birthday!
Need a real reason to party? Find a new job at redballoon.work.